All right, so when we look at GST is also a percentage question, and obviously it's a tax that's added to goods and things like that. So in here, we've got in Australia, the GST is 10% generally. So when you have to find an item, so finding an item that is without GST, so they haven't added the GST, you times it by 1.1. And so that's like adding 10%, which is what we need to do. If you have you've already got the cost including GST and you want to go back to it, you do this formula here. Okay, if you're wanting to find the whole cost with the GST included, or you're trying to find the cost without the GST. If you just want to know what the little amount of GST it is, you find, it depends on what country, but for us it's 10%. So we would just find 10% of the item or amount like that. So here we have a dress. If we have a dress worth 139 that has not had GST added, what is the price after the GST has been added? So what you do, you need to do this one. So you're just going to times that 139 by 1.1. Okay, so you can do that on your calculator if you like. 139 times 1.1, and so you got 152 point, what was it, 990. Okay, all right, so GST is pretty easy. It's just 10% working in, well, for us. Just be careful, in other countries that they have different amounts of GST. So read the question. They'll always tell you, even if we're talking about Australia, they will tell you how much the GST is in case things have changed. All right, so moving on to the next part of today, we're going to talk about simple interest. Okay, so interest is calculated on the principal. So you might want to write, this is generally your original amount. Okay, so the principal means the original amount and of a loan or an investment. So it depends on what you're doing. So say you are loaning $100 from the bank. The bank's not going to give you that money for free, so you are going to pay interest. And there's a couple of different types of interest. Simple interest is like a set amount. So you might want to write, oh my god, this is a set amount. Okay, so you calculate the amount of interest you're going to get, and every time the same amount is added to your thing. So if I said 10% interest on your $100 you borrowed from the bank, and you're going to pay 10% every month, that means that for every month you've borrowed until you pay back, you're going to pay $10, because 10% of 100 is $10. So the simple interest is a set amount on the original that you borrowed, and if it's an investment, it means you're getting added extra money. So, it's a set amount getting added every time. All right, so here's a formula for interest. So you just might want to, just make a little note that this A is the final amount. So that's what we're talking about when we say is the final amount. So after a certain period of time, the amount that you have. Okay, so they might ask you a question. So P stands for principal, so we've said the original amount, and I is the interest, so the extra bit you're either paying or getting if it's an investment. The rate is the rate per period. So if I said it was 10% per month, there you go, and the time is, if I was talking about the time, that would be months. So let's go find the total amount of simple interest the total amount owned on a simple interest loan of 16,000. So what I would like you to get used to doing is probably highlighting these things. So you highlight it and write what it is. So when they told me that, I put a P underneath. Okay, then you see the 8% per annum. Now, does anyone know what per annum means? Yep, that's right. This means per year. So when they're saying 8%, that's 8% every year. So here they're giving me the R, the rate, yeah, and the period. Just remember the period is years, so your time needs to be years. So these two, you might make a note, these two always have to be in the same. Have to be same. So what I mean by that is, year rate, that means time must be in years as well. Okay, all right, so we got per annum, and here they've given me a time, which is T. All right, so you write all those things out while you're reading the question, and it'll make it easy. Now they want the total amount, so A is the question. So I'll write out the formula. A equals P. Now, P is the principal plus I. Now we've got a formula here for I, so I'm going to use that instead. I'm going to use PRT over 100. And so I'll plug all of that data in. So I've got that 16,000, plus 16,000 times the rate times the time over 100, and we're going to get a total amount. So you just do that in your calc. The total amount owed on this simple interest loan. So if they're not paying anything off as we go along, after 2 years, for them borrowing that money on from the bank, after 2 years they'll have to pay back the bank that amount for borrowing it. Okay, so today you're just going to practice these questions, and so just basic simple interest questions. So they're here down here on the